Every one of these functions, Eric, as you rightly indicated by your boredom, is almost exactly the same. What's the only thing we're changing, Eric, each time between these different functions?
Using a different operator.
The new yeah, the functionality, the thing that we're doing to what?
To the input.
To the each element of the array. First position 0, then position 1, then position 2. 1, 2, 3. Every single one of them is otherwise identical. Take in an input array, create a new output array, loop through the input array, take each element, do something different. Oh, look at this. Do something different. That's all we're doing differently. Otherwise, all the code's the same. First principle of functions, but also functional programming, don't repeat yourself. Save it once, do it again and again. And that's exactly what we're going to have to do here. How, Seth, might I go about? If I made my multiply by 2 function general by leaving a placeholder such that when I ran it, it could take in any number to be multiplied by 2, what might I do here, Seth, in an intuitive manner? No sort of fancy words, but like intuitively, what might I do here, Seth, to save myself building out these damn functions each time?
Pass in a closure to execute?
That's not crazy to say, but keeping it simple, Sam.
Pass in an additional argument.
Which would be some functionality. Well, some functionality. Now, in theory, folk, just as Seth was starting to hint, and Sam as well, I guess I could, in theory, here pass in multiply by 2. And in theory, here pass in divide by 2. Folk, am I allowed to pass in little snippets of code like that in JavaScript? Am I allowed to pass those around? I'm not allowed to. In JavaScript, folk, the only way I'm allowed to bundle up code, a little snippet of code, I could imagine I could pass it in as a string. You could imagine a language where you could just do this and pass that in and it'll fill that bit in. Pass that, multiply by 2 and fill it in. Nah, in JavaScript I couldn't do that. I can't take the multiply by 2 bit, leave that bit as a blank, like I left array as a blank, and fill it in later on. No. In JavaScript, the only way I can bundle up code to be used later on, to be inserted into another function, is to store it in a function. Well done. That's good. Exactly. We're breaking our principle dry. We're repeating ourselves heavily. Eric was bored. What can we do? We can generalize our functions and we pass in our specific instruction only when we run copy array. Let's call it now manipulate. Copy array and do something. We do not in here preset that we're going to double each element of the array. We're not going to multiply by 2 or divide it by 2 or add 3. We're instead going to leave a little placeholder, the word instructions. And just like we didn't say copy 1, 2, 3 and multiply by 2, we said copy array and then we filled in that array when we ran the function. So too, we're going to say copy array and do something and leave a little blank instructions. And just like array becomes 1, 2, 3 when we end up running the code of the function, when we save it, it could be anything. We're not using it yet. When we run it, we better fill out the details. And we do with 1, 2, 3 for array, and instructions will literally be replaced with the word multiply by 2. Such that anywhere you see instructions in there, gone, and it's going to say multiply by 2, which, by the way, feels pretty good. Array position 0 is going to be the number 1. Instructions is going to be multiply by 2. Multiply by 2 parens 1 means run multiply by 2 with the input of 1. The 1 will shoot into multiply by 2. 1 by 2 returns out 2. And that multiply by 2 input of 1 will evaluate 2, will become its output 2. And that 2 push to output. So let's walk through it line by line and see exactly what's happening here. But this is actually going to be one of the most important foundational principles of everything else we do today.